Welcome to the Missouri Woods and Water Podcast with your host, Nate Thomas and Andy Humfeld, the only person that ever shows up to this.
You know, some people just more dedicated than others.
I'm excited for Micah to hear what Chad has to say in a few minutes. So the good thing is I know Micah listens to our show. I know Micah listens to our show, but Micah, you're going to get your ass kicked. Everybody is just FYI. So I'm pretty sure Micah's response to our text message thread was, I'm pretty sure he could unalive me. So yeah, you're right, buddy. He's going to. But who we're talking about, by the way, is none other than former UFC fighter Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes was and is one of my favorite fighters. We're similar ages, so I think that's probably part of it, as I've kind of watched his career in similar fashion with my garbage career. But anyway, watched him kind of grow and
certified badass.
He's a certified badass and certified nice guy. When we met him out at SHOT Show, he was very, awesome to talk to. You got to wonder how many people stop people like him and want to meet him. And, he had a conversation with me. I saw him again at the airport, apparently being his stalker. And he talked to me again then. And then he made time to come on our show, which was awesome.
Yes,
so
we appreciate that.
Chad comes on to just basically talk about his outdoor life, how he got into the outdoors, how he got into hunting, some of the stuff he's doing in the outdoors now. We talk about some UFC stuff, which was cool.
Yep.
I can't believe I talked to Chad Mendes about him and Conor McGregor's fight. Just throwing that out there. That happened in this world. So that's out in the ether, but that's cool. And
the business he's building, it's cool because he's making, these people we see on TV, these professional athletes, these singers, whatever it is, and bringing them and helping people realize that they're relatable, that they're no different than us, same hobbies, same passions. The outdoors does the same things for those guys that it does for us. And we're all no different. We're all people. Trying to better ourselves regardless of where it's at. So
it's cool. Big to have people like him in our community,
promoting it in the right ways.
Lots of people are coming after hunters and hunters' rights, and guys like him can make a bigger difference than guys like us can, as far as, putting a stop to it. And that's cool, in my opinion. So it's a great show. I did a better job than I thought I would, not being too fanboy, but
you did good.
I don't know. We've had some cool names on here before, and I've really had a lot of fun. This is up there with some of the biggest ones, in my opinion. Like it's I was excited about it. So didn't think it was going to happen, but that just tells you about, Chad himself. He made it happen for us.
Oh, down to earth, great person, man.
And actually he reached out to us. I originally reached out and then we couldn't get together. And I kind of let it go because I'm like, well, there was my chance, right? And then he messaged us back and said, hey, let's do it next week. And here we are. So that's awesome. We really appreciate it. So I'm excited to hear Micah get shit talked. Micah doesn't even show up. Like, you and I were the ones that went to the whitetail show last week, and Micah didn't even come.
Yeah, I don't know why he couldn't make it up there. It's right in our backyard.
I still think it's hilarious. We get a text message. So apparently we have a show to go to today.
Yep. Found out on social media we're going to a show and being at a booth.
You make me giggle sometimes. That's all I gotta say.
I'm just saying I wasn't told about it.
You were told about it. You were. You just don't read your text messages very well. No, I will say it was a vague text message, and you probably could have wondered what that meant.
Saturday. Do you know the plethora of meanings that could have been?
But you didn't even ask about it. You were just like, whatever.
I figured y'all had something else going on.
Well, hey, how you know? FYI, we're getting a booth next year. We're gonna do it. We need to do it.
Pencil it in.
So now you're gonna have to help us build a backdrop, though. Just FYI.
Let's get to our sponsors. People can listen to Chad at least.
So let's talk about our sponsors here. This week we've got Huxworks. They were out at SHOT Show, which is where we met Chad, doing some awesome stuff out there. They had a crazy booth.
Oh, it's one of the better booths of the whole show, I think.
Yeah. And then speaking of booths, so check out Huxworks. Speaking of booths, Andy's 17-foot butt was on a banner for Athlon Optics out there. We walk into their booth and boom, there's Andy on a giant banner. So that was pretty cool for you.
That was pretty cool. Pretty cool
Yeah.
to see. But Athlon, great stuff from thermals to regular scopes. They got some new stuff coming out. The best bang for your buck. You're getting some quality glass for reasonable prices for everyday hunters like us.
Yep, for sure. So check them out, Athlon Optics. Find a dealer near you. Reach out to us. We know several. MidwestGunworks.com. All kinds of great parts, ammo, guns. It's kind of that one spot that, like, if you're looking for something, I would start there. Yeah. There's been a few times where they didn't have exactly what I needed. But more often than not, they've got it. And that's kind of nice. It's kind of like, I don't want to say this because I don't want to lump them in to this company, but it kind of reminds me of Walmart for guns. Like, I go there first because they probably have it.
At least give them Target.
Okay, it's the Target for guns. Like, they're going to have it.
Yeah.
What about Nordstrom's?
If you're looking for parts or, repairs, building, and they also have their own shop you can send stuff to if you're here in Missouri, local. Yep. Great people, good stuff. Check them out.
Yep. LuckyBuckMineral.com. We need to be getting mineral out in the field a lot while we can, FYI. And but get that mineral out in the field for your raccoons and possums. Yep. Just not for your deer, apparently. I'm just joking. I've heard that's coming, so we'll see if that's going to be a real thing. On X, use our code MWW20 for 20% off the Elite plan. That's really the only plan I would go for, to be honest with you. They got some new cool features coming out. We're going to have Jared on X probably towards the summer, but be looking out for some of that stuff. And then Jason Patterson, Land Team with Whitetail Properties. Don't forget to be looking at their stuff. They've got some awesome stuff on their YouTube channel. I just talked about stuff last time that Dustin has for sale. They've got some nice small tracks. I think the auction already happened, but I can't remember. Right. I think that's true. But just they've got a plethora of options. And now's the time to do it.
And if you're looking for a place, call them. If you're looking to sell a place, call them. I mean, they can help you out regardless.
Or just call them just to bother them. They like to talk. They're nice folks. Just give them a shout. Call them, say hi, But that's our sponsors. Appreciate all of them. I'm going to, we're going to just get into our show with Chad Mendes, former UFC great. My top 5 of all time, that's for sure. Well, how about you? Where's he rank for you, Andy? I know you used to watch UFC quite a bit.
I'm not near as big as a fan as you, but no, definitely. He's definitely up there for me. I mean, just.
You mean not near, you weren't near of his biggest fan of the UFC, not Chad.
Correct. Yeah. No. Chad, a fan, definitely. But like, I was a heavier weight class, so I always paid attention to a little of the, the light.
See, I always watched the smaller guys. Like, I remember watching him all the time. I remember watching a guy named Dominic Cruz that he never seemed like he stopped moving. Like, he was always just moving. And I'm like, how the hell does he not get tired? Guys like him, obviously. Dan Henderson, he was talking about him in the show. Yeah. Like, that's an OG right there. Like, that's a dude that would look like he could literally make it through a brick wall if you made him run through it.
And see, that's where I put Chad in that OG conversation. Like, he was just one of like the staples back, when growing up and watching UFC. I mean, he was just a staple fighter.
Well, he's one of those fighters that stuck around. Like, his career was long in the UFC, where a lot of fighters, as you and I both saw, like, they just didn't have, they might have been there for 6 fights and then you never saw them again, or they made it up to the top real fast and then just disappear. You never know. But he was one that was like
always in the hunt, man.
He was always in the hunt for it. Yeah, exactly. So I really enjoyed watching, and I liked the way he just handled himself.
Oh yeah.
As you know, like, some of those folks do crazy antics and weird shit, and that wasn't my favorite thing to do or to watch. I liked watching, like, what I would call good old boys that, like, just I'm here to fight type of guys.
Surprises me you weren't there for the shit talking. I mean, that just surprised me some.
I'm a peacock, Captain. You got to let me fly. But when it came to that, like, I just like the dudes that wanted to show up, fight, and leave. And
we talk about that. I mean, he showed up and fought full notice, short notice. It didn't matter. So
yeah, yep.
Respect.
That's what I love about him. So yeah, hats off to you, Chad, on a great UFC career. I'm excited to watch you in the professional wrestling stuff. By the way, I know he just got injured last month, so there's going to be some stuff he's got to take care of there. But
we're going to summarize the show if we don't let them listen to it. So
anyway, let's get into our show with Chad Mendes. This is the Missouri Woods and Water podcast. Okay, excited about this one. We've got former UFC fighter Chad Mendes with us. Chad, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Just pumped to be alive. Woke up, sunny outside. It's a good day.
Absolutely.
We got one more bad day, and then it's going to be like 80 the rest of the week here. So
Nice.
I think it's supposed to be like 40 today and kind of dreary, but then we're good to go.
Nice. Yeah, Missouri, you guys got weather all over the place. My wife's from that area, and it'll be storming and nasty one day and then super sunny and nice the next day. It's crazy out there.
Yep.
If you don't like the weather, hang on about 24 hours, it'll change.
Yep.
Nice.
The weather in Missouri is bipolar. Most of the people aren't. That's what I like to say.
I like the Missourians. Fun times out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome. Well, for anybody that's listening that doesn't know, obviously I didn't know Chad before I saw him on TV back, several years ago. I'm what you would call if you put me on a scale of 8 to 10 as far as UFC fan, or a scale of 10 on UFC fandom, I was an 8, solid 9 at one point in time. So, I was well aware of who Chad was when he got into the UFC. And so that's how I found him. And then anybody that's been following, he's since retired from the UFC, still doing some sort of stuff, which we'll talk about later, but got into the outdoors. And that's when I found out that, Chad has been an outdoorsman. And obviously our podcast is about hunting and fishing, and the outdoors. So, anybody, wants to do some research on Chad from that aspect, do that. Another thing is, obviously Chad was and is a badass fighter. And so I did want to have Chad do one thing for us. So Chad, I don't know if you've ever listened to us, but myself, Micah, and Andy like to talk shit to each other all the time. And mostly Micah and Andy. And I'm going to take this opportunity to let you talk some shit to Micah, who didn't show up for today's podcast, and just let him know if you saw him, how you just beat his ass senseless. That's all I really needed to just go have at it.
Yeah, you guys were talking. He had to go get his nails done, right? I think is what he was going to do. Couldn't get on.
Yep.
No, I think
Pedicure.
the next time I head out to Missouri, we were going to do a 5-minute title fight. Me and him is what we were talking about. He said he was in. We got a contract.
That's what I heard.
It's a release of liability just in case. But we're going to make that happen, I think. I think we have to, right?
Pretty sure he said he could beat your ass. So I don't know. I don't think I quoted it just right, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
Might be a text thread with something alluding to that. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
I mean, to be honest, me and Mike are supposed to have a wrestling match. I think Chad's just going to head and tap in for me. Yeah, I think that might as well.
Yep. I'll wear the little Speedo, though. The little Speedo with the tall boots.
Yeah.
Make it.
Chad, I'll have to tell you a quick story. So one year when we were out in Colorado, elk hunting, Andy and Micah decided to wrestle at 5 a.m. before we left to go hunting that morning.
Dude, I had my pack on, man.
Andy already had his pack on, and Micah had a dip in. And you remember, this is our first morning in Colorado right after we got there. So everybody's still dealing with the altitude stuff.
Yep.
And they get in this wrestling match. And, Micah says he won. Andy says he won. The rest of us were just hoping nobody tore something.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, they've been talking shit about who could beat each other up. And I think it would be fun to watch. Micah's about 6'1", 6'2", 250. Andy's 6'7",
Holy
250.
shit.
And so
I'm about 6'5".
Andy's a big feller. And then, of course, you got me, who is the 5'7",
Nate's the instigator.
I'm the Chad Mendes build, but Chad would literally murder both of you. I'm just saying. So
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not the one that said anything. I'm just going to leave that there.
So Micah, challenge extended, and you better respond is all I'm
That's
saying.
right.
So,
But to be fair, Chad, we need to tell you the real story, how really this happened. So obviously, Nate met you at the SHOT Show.
Yep.
We were walking over by it was that archery game we were playing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. What was that called?
And
I think
we
right?
went through. Yeah, that thing is freaking awesome. That was one of the coolest things we actually seen there, I think.
Yeah.
And we walk out of there, and Nate completely fanboys.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Chad Mendes, holy shit! And so yeah, from that point on, like you were talking to him, so we kind of left you alone, of course.
Yeah.
But
and now
Nate
we're here.
completely fanboys for a minute. So let's not let Nate off the hook here.
I mean, you kind of forgot about the first night, Andy. Remember we first got there, we're walking, so we got to the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
We're just walking through, checking the
Nate's a
casinos
creeper.
out, and you walked by us, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was Chad Mendes.
Yeah.
But
was this
okay, whatever. It
one
was
of the,
the first night, the night before it started.
Gotcha.
And
that's the night I got in.
Right after that, we got offered hookers and cocaine, so that was weird. But
within 5 minutes, it was crazy.
We weren't there 5 minutes.
Vegas.
Yeah. And then I saw you. I'm like, yep, that had to have been him. But yeah. So, and then what's funny is I call the guys on our at the airport because I had to leave early, and I'm at the airport eating breakfast, and I call Andy. I'm like, dude, this dude's gonna think I am stalking him, but I swear to you, they just sat me down next to Chad Mendes.
It was just meant to be, dude. That's all.
Yeah, I guess so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But so Chad, let's kind of get into your background. Tell us like where you grew up and how did the outdoors start like in your life?
Yeah, so I grew up in Central California, little shithole cow town, little farm town. Nobody ever knows it. It's Hanford, California. It's about hour south of Fresno. Lots of dairies, lots of ag. Grew up there. I started wrestling at the age of 5, but man, the hunting and fishing was always my ultimate passion. Like my dad, I think I was probably 4 or 5 years old. He used to make us the flagpoles on the back of like a quad. When you're in the dunes, you have to have those like fiberglass flags on the back. And he used to cut them and use like fishing braid and make homemade bow and arrows. And I used to just go around the neighborhood like stalking pigeons and dove, like trying to fling arrows at them. And I remember getting my first like real compound bow, and I would sit in the backyard after school before wrestling practice and just fling arrows every single day. And which, I don't know, I just always had like an obsession with it. My grandma and grandpa, my dad, like fishing was always really big in our family. So like if we had an open weekend, we'd go up and camp and fish all day, the entire time, And my dad he didn't grow up hunting, but got into hunting later in life. And so I remember, 5, 6, 7 years old, just following him through the woods. Like we'd go up in the Sierras, like above Fresno, up into the mountains up in there, and chase blacktail, mule deer, bear. We'd fish up there all the time, and that was just something that I was like super in love with at a young age, and not really sure where that came from, other than just doing what my dad was doing. I had a lot of brothers and sisters. They all would do it with us too, but nobody really had that like crazy passion like I did. I don't feel like. And then fast forward, I mean, I remember getting. Like I would mow lawns. When was this? This is freshman year in high school. I would mow lawns I raised enough money. I got my first real bow. It was a PSE Nova back in the day. I bought it off a buddy who his dad was like really big into the archery scene, did like competitive archery stuff. And I bought that off him, got it all set up for me, and like practiced my ass off. And I got my hunter safety at 12, and I think at 13. Yeah, so that would have been freshman year. Anyways, it was right around that time frame. Shot my first buck with it up there in the Sierras, and man, I just remember it being such an emotional experience because I wanted it more than ever. Like, ended up shooting this thing, and it was me, my dad, my brothers, and we didn't kill a lot of deer back then, and so it was like we were all excited. Right after the shot, we're like started tracking blood, and just didn't let it do it. And we jumped it like 3 or 4 times, and it was like trying to die. And the last time we jumped it, it like ran over, stood there, looked at us, and tipped over and died, And it was an emotional thing because I was so excited. Like I got this buck, I killed it with my bow. It's my first big game animal. but it was like sad watching it sit there and look at us and tip over and die. And so I had like so many emotions inside. And but anyway, so my dad was like, oh, I'm going to hike all the way back up that mountain. We just tracked that thing down, and I'll go get the truck, come around. Well, it was in the evening. Me and my brothers are dragging this deer. We get split up. We get lost. It gets dark, and my dad gets lost in the woods. We're dragging this buck, you know, where we think, you know, we're trying to get to a road, end up pulling it into somebody's campsite, and it was a husband and wife sitting there around the fire. We come dragging this dead deer in, you know, all washed out, and she looks at us and screams. You know, we scared the shit out of her. But thankfully, they were super cool. We told them what was going on, and they gave us a ride back to our camp. Well, my dad was out there for hours, and then like finally, I don't even know what time it was, but it was a long time, finally found his way back to the truck and then made it to camp later that night. And so we were all good. But that was my first big game experience, and man, just fell in love with it even more and just kept with it. I jumped, obviously training and fighting and wrestling. I ended up going to Cal Poly on scholarship for wrestling. I wrestled there. During that time, I really had to like cut back on the hunting, which sucked. They're just keep up with school, you know, doing 2 workouts a day, competing on the weekends, sometimes even during the week. It was just, I didn't really have much time. So when I graduated, I moved up to Sacramento and jumped in with Uriah Faber and those guys at Team Alpha Male. What was cool about the fight game was, you know, you'd fight every 3-4 months. So like I'd train my ass off for 8-10 weeks, go do a fight, and I would usually take a week to 2 weeks off to just let my body chill out and recoup for a little bit before I jump back in training camp and do it all over again. So I had, you know, a week to 2 weeks after a fight where I'd plan stuff like if there was things I could go hunt during that time. Obviously, fights are all times of the year, so sometimes it was fishing, sometimes it was hunting. But man, I was able to just kind of train or do the fight stuff and then start planning stuff. And I remember doing my first out-of-state hunt. It was me and my dad. It was in southern Utah. It was actually a buddy of mine. He owned a VA mortgage company. So what we would do is I would put his company logo on my fight shorts when I was fighting the UFC, and he would buy me a landowner voucher down in this southern Utah area. And I remember the first year me and my dad went there, you know, and growing up in California, the deer population's pretty low, you know, like you'll go a whole season sometimes without seeing a legal buck or maybe 1 or 2. And a legal buck is like a 2 and a 1 on, you know, fork spike. And so we go to this spot and it's, you know, there's a lot of ag fields and thousands of deer everywhere. You'll pull up to a field and there's like 150 bucks out there with a bunch of does, and you're just like, what the hell is this? You know, it's not like that much anymore, but I remember that first year, me and him were just like, holy shit, is this what we've been missing out on? Like only hunting in California our whole lives, you know? And so, you know, I just had an unbelievable time. That was 2010, and I've been hunting there every year since. And we actually, so I started Finz and Featherz, but we actually run one of our trips down there and have been for 10 years now, which is awesome. You know, the hunting is still great, but man, I just remember that first time experience was unlike anything I'd ever seen in my life. So, but yeah, just kept rolling along. We jumped into, like I said, Finz and Featherz. We can kind of go into that if you want, but the fight game was cool. It was kind of consumed most of my life up until the last few years. But like I said, we started Finz and Featherz back in 2015, and my whole thought process on that was, you know, in the fight game, like you get paid when you fight. If you don't fight, you don't get money. It's like I started my own 401k, but they don't provide any type of pension or any type of retirement. So it's like, you know, you got to really start fast forward thinking. And I was getting towards the end of my career. I didn't want to fight, you know, into my 40s or even late 30s, really. But I was like, how could I create something in the outdoor space where I can make money, but do it with cool people? Like I get to take people out, hang out with them, get to hunt, get to fish, and somehow make money on that. And so we came up with Finz and Featherz. So we call it like a celebrity outdoor service, or like an outfitter outdoors, or a athletic outdoor service, where we basically take, like, we'll put a full year's schedule together of different hunts all over the United States. I mean, we've even gone to like New Zealand. We go into Mexico for fishing, but we'll set a full year schedule of trips. So dates already planned, that species is planned, and we got X amount of spots on each of those trips. And so what we do is we'll put different UFC fighters, we have country singers, pro ball players, actors, whatever, on those trips with the clientele. So, now it's already a cool trip because I vetted these. I go and hunt or fish these, make sure it's like high success, quality animals, like great lodging, fun time. So it's already a cool hunt, but then now they get to do it with like a Uriah Faber in camp or something. Go tuna trip, tuna fish on a boat with me and Hendo and Uriah, or we've had Michael Ray, country singer. We've got Jared Neiman. Some of these guys, and so we'll make it a cool, like a new, unique experience that people don't really get to have anywhere else. Like you can go book a hunting and fishing trip anywhere. Our prices are compatible and comparable to most outfitters. Honestly, we don't like gouge. And so it's just a unique experience that I feel like anybody could have the opportunity to come do. There's a lot of people we get that are first-time hunters that have never done it, but just want to go experience, learn how to provide, how to do it, but then also get to hang out with someone like Uriah or Dan Henderson or some of these people. So now
let's not sell yourself short here.
Yeah,
or Chad Mendes.
Yeah, or Chad Mendes.
They'll go and actually do their whole hunter safety course and get everything done, which is super cool. So now we're adding to the hunting pool, we're adding people into that world for us. They get to experience it, fall in love with it, and then girls' legs from there. So I don't know. It's just the thought of it was, how do I do all these things, make money, and have something that I truly love to do and create it into a business? And so that was the idea we had. Launched it in 2015 is when we built our whole schedule. So 16 was our first full year. We launched it like December of 15, and we sold out of everything like super quick. So I was like, I don't know, maybe this could work. Like, let's keep trying. And so we grew it and just added a few trips. I mean, there was a point where I think we were doing 30 or 40 trips a year with everything, which for me just ended up being too much. So we've cut back now, and I have like my core that I like to go do and stuff. But man, it's taken off. It's doing well, and it's fun for me because I get to go hang out with all these cool people, hunt, fish, make money doing it. And I feel like I've kind of created a cheat code or something that I sometimes don't feel like I should be charging people for. But it's fun, man. I absolutely love it. I love seeing the joy it brings for someone that harvests their very first big game animal, or they catch their first bluefin tuna or whatever it may be. So it's awesome. It's awesome to be a part of and have that as something that, my girls, especially, I have 2 girls that are getting to the age where they hunt with me now and they fish a lot and they understand. My daughter just asked this yesterday, Papa, do you own Finz and Featherz? And I said, yeah. She's like, so technically, me, Mama, and Remy kind of own Finz and Featherz too. So, the wheels are spinning in her head, and it's all starting to make sense now. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, man, it's been an awesome ride so far.
That is. That's awesome. I mean, think about combining kind of 2 of your worlds together there, the like-minded people. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in that industry and the people you've gotten to know that never experienced the outdoor side. And you get to bring some of that in along with, whether it's fans or other people, to combine those. I mean, I'm sure you're generating a lot of like-minded people and showing them interests that they never thought they'd have.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got a lot of kids that come up that followed me in the wrestling world and the fighting world that had never hunted. And like, my dad doesn't hunt, but I really want to check this out. And we'll get young kids that come and do it. They'll get their hunter safety and go on some of these hunting trips with us. We get women that have never hunted or anything. Like, we've had ladies come out and kill big old mule deer with us. They do our tuna trips, and that's super cool. And then, just families that have never been into it, that had always followed the fighting stuff, but again, wanted to learn how to hunt. So it is pretty cool to see that being a motivating factor, and it's awesome. It feels good to me to have basically the stuff that I'm doing is what's motivating these people. So yeah, it's super cool. And then we get guys that have hunted all over the world for years. They're super experienced hunters, but want to just see something different or do something different, or maybe want to meet one of these guys and hang out, have some beers with them in camp and bullshit. And I mean, it's just a cool experience. Like, you could go to a meet greet, maybe meet some of these people, but it's one of those things like, hey, what's up, man? Shake hands and maybe take a picture, get an autograph, and you get about 30 seconds of kind of BSing, and then it's like, all right, next person. So it's, you know, you guys know, like camp camaraderie, there's nothing like it anywhere else. Like when you're hunting, when you're fishing, you know, after you're sitting on a campfire, drinking beers or whatever, whiskey, and just BSing about the day and like how things went down. Like you don't get that anywhere else, you know, especially someone that when you harvest and everyone's kind of, you know, pumped for you. And, you know, it's just something you don't get to really feel outside of hunt camp or even fishing. So getting to do that with these guys that you might watch on TV fight in the UFC, or, you know, go to a country concert and watch perform, or, you know, play ball or whatever it may be. It's just a cool experience for these people to kind of share that camaraderie with these people. And man, all the athletes or country singers we use are huge hunters, outdoorsmen. I think Uriah is probably really one of the only ones, but I mean, he's grew up fishing his whole life. And, but I did get him to harvest his first big game animal. He did one of our trips is a Texas helicopter pig hunt. And so
oh my gosh.
Yeah, one of the evenings we went down and did thermals. And we got out there like right before dark, but we got on a big group of pigs. And so it was still light out. So he actually like did it legit and like stalked in and stuff. And he killed his first pig. And so he's, you know, he was pumped. I don't know if it's like his thing. He's definitely more of the like Cali kid, wants to fish, and, you know, he's done our tuna trips and stuff like that. But other than that, man, everyone's super cool. Like, I make sure they're avid outdoor men. They love hunting. They love fishing. They love, you know, hanging out and BSing with people. And so that's always something that I think means a lot for me, to like have these guys want to be there and, you know, share that experience with the clients and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, what I think is cool about what you're doing is, you know, I'll try to do my best to explain it, is, you know, people see high profile athletes, whether it's UFC fighters, NFL football players, Major League Baseball players, you know, you name it, even college athletes, you know, high D1 college athletes nowadays. And like, that's just all they see as an athlete sometimes. Whereas, you know, a lot of these guys and girls, like, they're huge outdoorsmen, huge hunters. And I think it's cool that you're kind of, you know, showing that side of some people, obviously yourself, by starting Finz and Featherz, and some of the people that are hunting with you, you know, Uriah Faber, Dan Henderson, some of the country singers. I think it's really cool. I love seeing that side. I mean, Andy and I were both college athletes. You know, we never got to obviously a professional level where people even gave a shit who we were, but like it's just, you know, athletics, whether it's fighting or whatever, takes so much of your time. And it is part of, like, people see that, and that's what you are. Like, that's what you are to them, is an athlete. And, you know, for a lot of folks, there's a lot more to you than being an athlete. You know, you just became a UFC fighter after college. And, you know, when you think about it, the UFC or professional MMA fighting is a very small percentage of your life in the grand scheme of things. And so it's like, it's cool to see that, you know, these people are, some of them are athletes, or some of them are hunters. Some of them might be musicians. You know, it's just cool that you did that to, you know, kind of show, hey, this is actually, you know, my passion. This is another one of my passions outside of the sport that I love. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. It was one of those things. I'm like, I don't know how people are gonna take this. Like, this, it's either gonna be a complete flop, or I don't know, maybe people like it. And I mean, honestly, it's been an honor to be able to do something like this, using the platform that I was able to build in UFC and like grow that into something that I can provide for my family, and get to do something that I truly love. So, no, man, I think it's awesome. Like I said, sometimes I feel bad, like even trying to make money off of this, but it's, you know, it is cool just to hang out with people and get to share that passion with them, and see the joy that it brings. So I'm just going to keep on rolling with it.
Sure. Okay, so my next question is this. What is it about hunting? So, like, for me, I grew up, sounds kind of similar to you. Like, sports were a big part of my life all the way through. And I actually didn't grow up hunting. Now, there was fishing involved in my life, but I didn't start hunting until I was in college. And so, like, to me, there was a lot about hunting that was very similar to sports and not the same whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I loved about it. What is it about the outdoors that, you know, you can relate to your sports and at the same time it's totally different. Like, what do you feel like are those things?
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. I think the biggest ones are like basically game planning. Like I think of it like, okay, if I have a title fight coming up, I'm fighting a guy like Jose Aldo. Like these are his strengths, these are his weaknesses. You sit down, you watch film, you study, you put a game plan together, and then you have to train that game plan through your whole training camp. I have another doll sheep hunt in Alaska that I'm doing in August, and it's very similar to that. I study the area. Like, okay, we have a 14-mile hike to get to the unit, and so I know that it's going to be a complete ass kicker. So what am I doing? I'm game planning on all that stuff. I'm training. Like I have to get prepared just like it's a fight. I have to do my whole training camp and basically practice with my weapon and do all the same stuff that I would do in the gym training for an opponent, but my opponent is now a doll sheep, but a lot of the,
Thank God it doesn't punch back.
yeah, thank God. But I mean, it's the game planning, I think, is very similar. And then the training aspect of it, the mindset, like I know going in there and fighting Jose Aldo is probably going to be one of the hardest things I've ever done at that time. And it's going to hurt. It's going to suck. There's going to be points where I'm just like done. But you like mentally prepare for that. And I can guarantee you on that sheep hunt, there's going to be moments where I feel that exact same, I've done
what am I doing? Yeah.
for 100 and something trail miles, like in a 10-day period. And it's, you're living out of a backpack where you set up right before dark. You eat, you sleep, you wake up before dark, and you tear everything down, put it back in your pack, and you're hiking another 10 to 15 miles that day. And it's not flat hike. I mean, you're climbing crazy stuff and 4, 5, 6, 7 days into that, and you're just like, oh my God, everything hurts from head to toe. Like
Why am I doing this?
In that sense, and then I also think just dedication. There's guys that are great athletes, but don't have the dedication or really the desire to be the top, and they just waste a lot of that talent. I think that the hunting game or fishing is very similar. You got guys that would do the sheep hunt, and I hear all the time, like I have buddies that are sheep guides. We had this guy come in, and we told him how difficult it was going to be. These are the things you should do to train. And by day 3, they have an excuse, and they're like, "Oh, my wife, I got to get back to my family," and they bail, without killing a sheep because it's hard. Like it sucks, But they didn't train. They didn't have the dedication to do what was needed to get prepared for that. And that happens in the fight game, man. Like my fight with Connor, I hate even thinking about it, but was not prepared for that fight. I got that call on 10 days notice and, wasn't training for a fight, was trying to recoup from the last Aldo fight still. And, it sucked. It was one of those things like going into it, I knew it was going to be hard, extremely hard, but I just didn't have the time to put all the effort needed and dedication into a camp to get out there and do what needed to be done to win. So, I know that feeling. It sucks. I hate it. It's like in college, like that was one of my biggest nightmares. Sometimes I'd wake up and it's like not being prepared for something. Like I'd have a dream that I'm like, I walk into my class and they sit down and they're like, all right, here's the final, with no warning. And it's like, what then? I would always like wake up, my heart racing, And so that's always been something that's like hard for my brain to deal with. Especially going into that Connor fight, that's like my ultimate nightmare, but you just bite down and say, screw it. Like, you never know. I might go out there and hit him with a right hand that puts him to sleep, and then I'm the champ. So let's go.
Well, that's sports. That's why I think, so back then that was kind of the height of my UFC fandom as well. Like I paid for everyone, that sort of stuff. And, at the same time, you say you weren't prepared for the fight, and I mean, obviously you were there, so that, but it's also like, if you look at it from the other angle, how many people would have taken that fight
Oh, absolutely.
and put that challenge in
Nobody.
front of themselves? Like, I was a fan of watching him fight, so I wasn't necessarily rooting against Connor, but you were one of my favorite fighters. And so,
Yeah.
like, the entire time I'm like, let this guy win. But at the end, you're like, yeah, but he wins by losing too, because, the mindset that some fighters or some people even have to say, you know what, I will do this and I will do it to the best of my ability. I may or may not win, but I'll do it. There would have been a lot of fighters, and there still are a lot of fighters that would have not have said yes to a world-class fighter, especially a world-class striker, and said, I'll do this.
Yeah.
They would have said, hell no, give me 3 months to get ready for this. Or
Yeah,
something.
I know.
So,
it was hard, man. That was hard for me to like push myself through because, at that time I was top contender, ranked number 1. And yeah, it's like, I'm not ready for this. Do I risk losing all that? And then, shit, it's embarrassing losing. I fucking hate losing at anything. I play cards with my daughters and I'm like, yeah, right. But,
psych.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, that was hard to get over for sure. But it's, it's one of those things like I was saying, you never know. I might go out there and knock him out and, now I'm the UFC world champ, or I might not. So,
yeah. And I think it's the same thing with hunting, right? Like, if you know the saying, you can't kill them on the couch.
Yeah.
Well, you never know what's going to happen when you go out. And for me, the one thing that I can always, relate the sports I played to hunting and fishing, well, hunting for me at least, is the adrenaline dump that happens when you see that big buck or whatever enter your life. And then once the shot happens, like, there's no sport that ever has even been close to matching that.
Yeah.
Now, once again, I didn't fight in front of, tens of thousands of people, so it might be a little different from you, but my gosh, like the adrenaline dump is something I think we all chase. And, the shaking and just the amount of adrenaline's pulsing through your body is impossible to explain to another person until they've experienced it out in the woods.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
What?
I know the feeling.
Go ahead.
Stepping into the cage and like having your opponent right across from you, and it's definitely high nerves. It's an adrenaline crazy rush, but it is completely different than having a big bull at 30 yards from you screaming your head off, waiting for him to step out from behind that brush so you can take the shot. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what the difference is, but it does not feel the same. Like the fight game
doesn't.
Also, maybe because it could be this. Like, I know there's a chance I'm going to be hurt here. Like, I could get hurt. Like, this could be the last time I walk out of this cage. I might get paralyzed. I mean, technically you could die. There's guys that have died.
That's true.
Try not to think about that shit, but it's always in the back of your head, especially with a family, and, it's the last thing you want to happen. So it's a different adrenaline rush for sure. It's like a fight or flight versus, I don't even know what it is, just a high rush of you need to focus, calm your heart because this shit's about to happen and don't screw this up. But yeah, it's definitely different, but you definitely get that high from both for sure.
Yeah. I can only imagine. No, I can't. Well, funny story, Chad, you might remember this, but when I introduced myself to you, I said hi to you, and then I was like, yeah, I was in a fight once too. And the first thing Chad said to me, Andy, was, what was her name?
Yeah.
And, so I can't relate to this, but I can only imagine what it would be like to step in an octagon with someone across the, octagon from you that's trying to hurt you. I can't, that's something I can't even wrap my mind around. I played football, baseball, basketball, all those things, but that's got to be even a different level of fear. I don't know what the word is. Like, I was scared before football games, like nervous, but I didn't think like somebody might put a fist through my nostrils. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's got to be a little bit different. So I don't really know how to explain that one. That's all for you. But
It's something
yeah,
it's weird, dude. It really is, because it's like you train this whole training camp for this one person, you know, and then you're walking out, and you have this level of excitement because you have fans cheering for you. You know your family's there rooting you on, and all your friends, and it's cool. And so you have this like excitement, but at the same time, you're like, dude, I'm gonna go fight life or death right now. Basically, a ref is gonna stop one of us from killing each other. Basically, you know.
yeah.
I'm trying to kill that guy, and that guy's trying to kill me. It's just someone's going to stop it before that happens, hopefully. And so you have like all this excitement. You're like, dude, this is so cool. But then you're also like, you're about to go fight a human being.
Right.
Like,
That gladiator, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, man. It's people ask all the time, but I can't explain. There's nothing else like it. You know, I can't compare it to anything. There's some similarities with the hunting and fishing, but it's never identical. It's definitely a very, very unique experience. You get in there and you're like staring at this person across from you. You got cameras in your face, and you're trying to like stay calm and collected. Your coaches are talking to you right behind you, and you're trying to like process and think about that, but knowing there's somebody right across from you that's going to try to kill you, and you're going to try to kill them. And it's weird. It's a weird sport.
Well, and the other weird part is, and we'll get into outdoors after this, but I've got to ask this question. So you strike me as a nice person. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't know you very well, obviously, but you strike me as a nice guy. And then I know that you've also fought friends of yours before.
Yeah.
How the hell do you fight somebody that you like, and, you know, knowing that you got a good heart inside of you?
Yeah.
How is that? Like, how do you even do it? I'm just curious.
That's
You know,
hard.
like
I fought Clay Guida, and
yeah,
it was tough. Like back then, we were not as close as we are now. Like we are business partners now, and like help each other out with the hunting and fishing stuff, and still compete together. Like I'm doing that Real American Freestyle stuff, and we've competed together on a couple of those. I was there on that last one, I didn't compete, but the time that we fought, like we were, you know, like jump on a call, text. Like he would send me big bass and stuff that he'd catch, and I'd show him stuff that I killed, and you know, and we were like buddies as far as that goes. But that was hard, man. That was, and probably my least favorite fight out of all of them. But at the same time, like probably my highlight of my career, because Guido was such a legend. You know, I was still kind of working my way up. I mean, that guy. I remember watching him since before I even started fighting. And, you know, he's a household name. He's, you know, a legend. The dude's nonstop, high pace, high energy. Like, trying to train for that fight was like bringing guys in that could move and bounce all over the place. Like, nobody could keep the pace that he could. So it was, like, hard to really train for somebody like that. And, you know, I go out there. I was the first person to knock him out, which was, like, bittersweet because I'm like, yeah, you know, I got the win. But then I'm, like, seeing him on the ground, and I'm like, damn it, man. And he came into the locker rooms after, and he's, like, crying, and you know, we're hugging, and it was tough, man. It was probably, like I said, my least favorite fight, but also the like highlight of my career. If that,
yeah.
So, yeah,
it's like it's got to be a bittersweet feeling for someone like that, you know. Yeah,
but it's all good. I mean, we joke about it now. Like he'll joke about it. He's such a great guy. I love Clay, but like we go and do fishing trips together, and he's getting into hunting, which is kind of cool. He's
good.
Gotten some duck hunting done. I think he's gone out and done some whitetail hunting. He's killed some pigs. So he's definitely interested and wants to do it more. But you know, fishing is his passion for sure.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll move into gear now because I've been kind of following you on social media, and I see you shooting. And mostly because I also just recently became one of these guys. So you obviously are a huge bow hunter. That's, you know, what you, one of your passions. So what is your current bow setup?
So right now I have the RX-10, the white, but I did just get the AX3, which I'm actually going right after this podcast to go get it all set up and then bring it back over here and get it all dialed. So
nice.
I'm excited for that. I shot one at the Shields here in Idaho, I don't know, a few weeks ago. Golly, that thing was smooth. I've always been the aluminum guy. Like I've chosen that every carbon bow, and I don't know why. I do like a lightweight bow, but I just like the feel of the aluminums better. And so I was like, I'm going to try this RX-10. I killed a few things with it. I think it's a great bow, but I shot that AX3 just the other day, and I was like, whew, I think I'm going to get one of these. So I just grabbed one. You never have to.
Well, what's funny is, I love it. Me and Micah, so I've never owned a Hoyt, neither has Micah. And we both went to get new bows this year, and both of us walked into the shop not expecting a Hoyt. Micah was almost positive he was going to get the new Matthews Arc, and I figured I was going to end up with a Matthews or a Bowtech, and both of us walked out with Hoyts. I'm shooting an RX-9, and he's got the AX3. So,
so did the same thing. We went to Shields together because we just wanted to shoot some of the bows, and he's been a Matthews guy forever, and he just went with the RX-10 also. He's like, dude, I'm switching. So
yeah,
cool to see.
And the only reason I went with the RX-9 is because I shot the RX-10, and it was the tan colored one.
Yep.
And I liked it. And then the bow shop owner was like, hey, I'm just going to show you one. You don't have, if you want this one, fine. And he brought out this black one, and it had the gray lettering on the limbs. And I'm like, give me that one. Yeah, and it happened to be an RX-9.
Nice. So. On cosmetics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, those are great. I shot one of those last year. I never got one set up for me, but I shot one at one of the shops, and they're nice. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. He said the only difference is the adjustability of some of the fine tuning. So there's really not a difference. Okay, so that's your bow. What's your arrows that you're running this year?
So my buddy, I've shot these for probably 7-8 years now. They're called Killing Sticks. They're up out of Canada. It's a good buddy of mine. It's his company. And so I've ran those things for a really long time now. I've killed a lot of stuff with them, and absolutely love them. It's not one of the big brand type arrow companies, but they're solid arrows. I actually have some right here. I was just building a bunch, but I've ran these for a really long time and love them. Yeah, Killing Sticks.
Looks like a smaller diameter
shaft.
Yep.
Yep. That's what I've ran. I got a 26-inch draw, super short arms, and so a little advantage I have. You too.
Short Kings unite.
Yeah. Any advantage for pass through, I'm just like, give it to me.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that was one of the reasons I picked the Hoyt over the Matthews, is because the Matthews Arc at 60-pound draw weight was difficult for me to pull back. I mean, you would have been fine, but we'll move on. But the Hoyt, I didn't have any problems even at 70. Yeah. So then I don't lose that speed that I really need, because you and I both experience a slower bow because we've got a shorter draw, and so we need to do everything we can not to lose a lot of speed.
100%. So that's why another reason why I jumped to the AX3, because I've been shooting the 70 and I went up to 75 pounds, and I'm like, that's probably like good. And I went and shot the AX3, but it was 80-pound limbs because that's all they had. And I was like, well, I'll be fine shooting it a couple times. It felt as easy as my 70. And I was like, well, might as well just jump to that if it's going to help with stuff. So, I don't know what they're doing, but that cam is smooth.
So what's your what speed are you getting? Did they shoot it through a chronograph at 80?
Mine, no. But I'm usually on that 260 to 280. It's mine are not fast. Yeah.
Well, that's me. I shoot a 26 3/4 draw length, so not much bigger than you. And I think I was 277 with that RX-9 at 70 pounds. Now, this is the bullshit. Andy is left-handed and a 32-inch draw. And so that guy's shooting 5,000 feet per second without doing anything.
I'm jealous, bro.
Yeah, you got to take the blessings when you get them, man.
Yeah.
So what about broadheads? What do you like? Do you switch broadheads up based on the game that you chase, or do you try to keep it pretty normal?
I have over the years, but man, the last 2 seasons I've ran those beasts and have absolutely loved those things, man. I have nothing but good things to say. I've probably killed 8 or 9 big game animals with them over the last 2 seasons, and Everything's died like quick. And all 3 mule deer I killed last year, I hit in the front shoulder. So I broke the leg bone and went in double lung aim heart. And
Nice.
those were at
Really?
40 to 60 yards. So, I mean, they're bone crunching, you know? So, yeah, good things to say on those things.
Well, that's the bow shop owner. So we're shooting Severs right now, and we're big fans of them. But the bow shop owner we work with, as you probably are well aware, Severs direct to consumer, so you can't like
Yeah.
sell them at a shop. And he swears by those beasts, and
Yeah.
he's trying to get us to switch over, which I'm not against. I just have a bunch of Severs. So,
Yeah.
And the Severs have treated me really well.
Like, I the rage, you know, on elk and stuff. I had horrible experiences with them, like lost bulls and just like no penetration. And so I was always like, for years, just terrified of using any mechanical on an elk. And so I switched back. I used the Muzzy Trocars for a while. I did the what are they? The Slick Tricks, Magnus. I used those and had great experiences with them. But I was like, you know what? And I saw like Bomar doing all the videos of them shooting those things through center blocks and talking about the steel. And I actually saw some, I think one of my buddies had some and was just messing with them. And the blades were sharp as hell. And in fact, the first pack I ever bought, I didn't use the little fingers and was just trying to like close them like this and didn't realize it. And I had cuts all over my fingers after. I was like, damn, these things are sharp. Yeah. So I was a little hesitant, but man, I got a full pass through on my 350 bull that I killed up in Oregon. And I mean, it was close. It was like 30 yards, but still, I don't ever get full pass throughs on elk usually.
Right.
I was pumped on that. And then the other bull I hit at 45 yards, but I hit him right in that shoulder and it blew through and double lunged. So I was pumped on that. It didn't pass through, obviously, but I mean, I hit him square in that front shoulder. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I had a lot of good experiences with them. So I think I'm going to.
Well, you might have just sold me because, I mean, anybody else that like Andy, for instance, Andy shot the Severs through both shoulders of a whitetail, but I can't really compare Andy's bow setup to mine because they're not
like 14 yards. So, I mean,
they're not similar either. Like you're shooting so much faster, so much heavier. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. But hearing you say that, you and I have very similar, bow setups because of our, our draw length. So like
give them a shot.
That is huge for me because I'm always terrified about hitting shoulders because I'm not a fast bow and I'm not a heavy arrow. So, that kind of freaks me out. And hear you say that on those. I mean, I've heard that. You should also, if you ever get bored, get on YouTube and look for a guy named John Lusk.
Okay.
He does broadhead reviews and he does like testing.
I think I've seen stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why I originally picked the Severs. This was before the Beast were a thing. And the Beast broadhead, I think, gets even better scores. But those are like the two mechanicals that get like really high scores for durability, hardness, the stuff that you typically see with fixed blade heads.
Yep, sharpness. I think that's huge. Like, I remember all my rages were like the blades were just cheap and not sharp, But the blades on those beasts are like real razor blade like sharpness. They're next level. Yeah, they'll cut your fingers off, so be careful.
Nice. Okay, so I got broadheads, and then of course you release. I got to ask you about this. I already know that you don't shoot a wrist release because I was watching, but tell me about that cool freaking thing that
the mount.
It was just on your story this morning that I just looked at it, and so you were shooting and you just put your you have a thumb release, is that right?
Yep.
You just put it on your bow and just walked away. What the hell is that?
Yeah, so it's actually a good buddy of mine. He designed those and has started that business. It's called Advanced Outdoor Technologies. And they're just it's a magnetic thumb release holder, and he's got a bunch of different designs for a bunch of different thumb releases. But basically, it's these really strong magnets built into it, and you can mount it either on your sight housing or down on the stabilizer. And it basically you just set it in there, and it sucks it in, and then it's got this little safety latch that has like resistance on it that you can just close it. But Yeah, I've been running one on my bow now for probably 5 years, 6 years, and freaking love them, and have not had issues. Like my thought was, man, I don't know, like I don't want to lose that thing while I'm stalking in, but man, those magnets are pretty damn strong. And he designs them for each release, like in different locations. So depending on how it sits in there, the magnet will be in different spots. And there's like 2 or 3 magnets, and it's locked in even without closing that safety thing. But then that safety thing closes and you can't get it out.
Gives you like that extra security that, if something were to go wrong, it's still not going to fall off.
Yep. So yeah, advanced outdoor technologies.
That's cool.
He's got a full-time job, and he's just now starting to look at retirement soon. And then I'm going to help him try to get the word out as much as I can on those things. Cause I mean, he's a great guy. I've hunted with the dude, fished with the dude. And I want to see those things take off, cause I think they're money, it's a solid product. So, I think hopefully they take off for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
yeah.
Andy, we've heard Chad talk about mule deer, fishing, whitetail, elk. I know you have a question you want to ask him.
Uh-oh.
So go ahead and ask him.
Boxers or briefs?
I know you want to ask about coyotes.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's
So
that.
what's your coyote background, and when are you coming to Missouri? We'll show you how it's done out here with the thermals.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to. Yeah. I mean, that's funny because we just put the girls down. It was right before dark, and there was a coyote running through our backfield. I've already smoked a couple of them out there because they mess with our chickens. But I'm all for coyote population control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our podcast has kind of gotten big into it, outside of like whitetail and elk. And I think it's because it's so different than like the big game hunting.
Yeah.
It's a totally different type of hunting. Kind of like duck hunters. I haven't got into the ducks and the geese yet, mostly because I want to stay married.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
And but coyote hunting has kind of, filled that void in the winter, early spring for us. So if you're ever in Missouri and feel like trying to go kill some dogs, you let us know. We'll take you out. But,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chad,
Anytime.
before we stop, tell everybody how they can check out Finz and Featherz. Tell them what you're up to, because I know you've been doing some sort of fighting, wrestling, which is even cooler. If people don't watch wrestling, they should, by the way, just FYI.
And
it's not just MMA.
American style, entertaining. They treat it like it's a UFC fight. Like the production they put into those shows is friggin' awesome, man. It's so cool. And what's cool about it now is that's the first like professional platform that's really like taken off for wrestling. So you got kids that are badasses in high school that now are competing on Fox Nation and getting paid to do it. So it's like,
That's awesome.
I think it's super cool for this next generation. And you got a bunch of us old washed up UFC fighters that are pulling in there. We're all trying to wrestle each other. I just competed. Mike's not washed up; he's still competing. But I wrestled Chandler. I was supposed to wrestle Benson Henderson, but I ended up tearing my MCL right at the beginning of February. I had to back out. But so RFA is what it's called, Real American Freestyle. So I signed a 5 wrestling match deal with them. So I got 4 more that hopefully I can before hunting season, because once that starts, it's good.
Dawn, guys.
We're already
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, so that, and then Finz and Featherz, you can just look up finsandfeathers.com. Both Finz and Featherz are spelled with Z's. You guys can see that behind me. I have an Instagram page. And then my Instagram is just at Chad Mendes if you guys want to follow along with all the hunting and fishing and training and fighting and cooking and family stuff. That's where I spend most of my time.
So it looks like I pulled up the website. You have one elk hunt still available, but most of your stuff's all booked up. So when do you start going after like 2027 hunts? Like when do you post some of those?
So we'll usually start launching the next year's schedule in like November, December of this year. So it is tricky though, man, because I've scaled back a little bit. Most of our stuff gets rebooked with return clientele. If guys decide to jump to a different trip, we'll have like one spot like that elk spot open up. But man, it's one of those things. Like I this year I had some more stuff. I added a new antelope hunt, which I'm actually going to post here in about an hour, because we already booked 5 spots, and I was able to get more tags. So I'll probably post for that. So Colorado Eastern Plains antelope, which is awesome, and then I added a Central California like vineyard hunt for black-tailed deer. It's super cool. It's one of those really unique hunts. It's not like you're hiking around in the mountains and putting in a ton of effort. It's just like a unique experience where this Steinbeck Winery in Paso Robles, California, which is where I went to school. Cal Poly is right in that area, San Luis Obispo. It's loaded with deer, and those deer just demolish their grapes. But they're one of the only places in that whole area that hasn't swapped to high fence around it because of 2 things. A, they want to just keep everything as unique and natural as possible. But then also they think it's cool. Now they run hunts out of there. So it's like you got all these deer, tons of bucks all over the place in there. So they made it like a super cool experience where you can go, you kill your deer. When you get back to the skinning station, they'll take the heart, and his mom takes it in and cooks a bunch of hors d'oeuvres with it and brings it out with a bunch of their wine from the winery. So you can sip wine and have like deer heart served a bunch of different ways. And, we sit there and do the skinning and do all that for the clients. And it's a very chill hunt. And then, if the wives want to come, they can go do all the wine tasting and, the touring around Paso Robles. It's a real big winery area. So it's just one of those types of hunts. Me and Michael Ray's never killed a blacktail. So he's going to come out and we'll let him kill a buck. And we'll all just hang out. He usually brings his guitar and we'll do some acoustic singing and playing when everyone's had a little bit too much wine. And that'll be fun. So I did add those 2 trips this year. So I don't know. We might grow a little bit back, but I'm to the point now where it's like I have 2 little girls, so family time is super important. Plus, I have all my own personal hunts that I film for my YouTube channel, and so I'm mixing in the Finz and Featherz stuff with my personal hunts, keeping family there, and running some other stuff too on the side, so like businesses stuff. So it's I don't know. I like the size of it right now, so we'll probably stay similar to this.
Yeah. Well, not that it matters, but 3 losers from Missouri think you're doing a great job, man. We're huge fans of yours, not just from the UFC days, but just love watching a guy move on from a career, professional sports career, we'll say, and continue to just kick ass in an area that we obviously love, and having people like you to champion the outdoors is awesome. So from Missouri, great job.
Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot, guys. Appreciate it. We'll just keep on.
All right, Chad Mendes, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Chad.